Testing 1 2, testing 1 2.
The request,
Yeah,
just to let you know.
yeah, that's what I'm thinking. I'll, put me together for it.
Oh,
Exactly.
All right, hello, everybody. Actually, it is a few minutes after 6. So I'm going to call the meeting to order. This meeting has been given public notice in accordance with section 19.83 and 19.84 Wisconsin statutes in such form that will apprise the general public and news media of subject matter that is intended for consideration and action. President Walter is the chair of the meeting. He is not present, but is on the phone at the current time. And we do have the representative from the school board and our citizen representative. So with that, we do have a quorum and can begin the meeting. Let me ask President Walter. Dean, would you like to chair the meeting, or would you like a chairman pro tem?
I think Chairman Pro Tem, since I don't have an agenda in front of me.
Okay, okay. Then with that, I would ask members of the committee if anyone would make a motion for a chairman pro tem, and that includes Eugene. You could make that motion if you'd like.
Okay, well, I'd make a motion to have a member of the school board be the pro tem at tonight's meeting, please.
Okay, motion was for Ms. Altendorf to be the chairman pro tem. Is there a second? All right, and then all in favor?
Aye.
All right, and we have a chairperson for the meeting. Let me also just ask real briefly if Brenton in the back, we do have someone who is on WebEx, and I asked him to check. They didn't have a name posted, if that was one of the other members of the Joint Review Board or not. So Brenton, I don't know if you could just give me a thumbs up if it is, or they did not respond. Okay. Okay. Well, we'll assume that's not one of the other. Pardon? Okay. So I guess I would ask before we go any further in the meeting, if there is a representative from MATC or Washington County participating online, if you could just speak up and identify yourself, we'd appreciate that.
Hi, this is Aaron Dahl. I'm here from the county. Sorry, I had to tune in virtually at the last minute here.
All right. All right. Thank you, Aaron. We appreciate that. So we do have the Washington County representative as well. So with that, I'm going to step back and allow Ms. Altendorf to take the reins of the meeting.
Hi, can you hear me? Hello, this is Dr. Patricia Najera with MATC.
Oh, okay. All right. Thank you. Thank you. Appreciate you jumping in. Could you please, we are able to hear you, but I was a little faint. Could you please repeat your name?
Yes, it's Dr. Patricia Najera, and I'm with
Najera?
Milwaukee Area Technical College.
All right. Thank you. Thank you, Dr. Najera.
Sure.
Just got to push the button so the light goes off. There you go. Now you're on.
If you could just help me a little bit, do I call the meeting to order? Is that the next step here?
I already called the meeting to order, so you can take it from, I think we got the roll call. If you could take it from appointments. And I believe that we have appointments from the last meeting, so we have a chair and a public member. So I don't believe any action is necessary at this point.
Okay. So then we just need the approval of the minutes for the December 19th, 2023 meeting.
Correct. Is there a second to approve the minutes?
A second.
Second to approve.
Okay, and then the next agenda item is new business. 5A is review responsibilities of the Joint Review Board.
And that'll be Mr. Cossin from Ehlers.
Do you want me to are you doing A and B together, or will these be two separate?
I can handle both of those together.
Okay, and then B is review and discuss
Yeah.
draft project plans.
Great. Phil Costa with Ellers, is this on? Okay, all right, great. So responsibilities and those on the JRB understand your responsibilities. You've all been through this process before. It's really to review the public record, which is going to be the project plan once it's finalized. And it's the reason I say once finalized is it can change still through the process. It could be modified by plan commission. It could be modified by the village board through the process. And then to review the resolutions that will hopefully be approved by both plan commission and ultimately the village board. And then to review the final resolution, which is going to be provided to the joint review board at the final meeting. So those are responsibilities, is to review the public document. So questions on that before I jump into the review? And I don't know if this, I have a brief PowerPoint, which kind of, you can take that if you want. And Aaron, I'm not sure if you got a copy of the PowerPoint we had put together, but the PowerPoint really lays out kind of the key items that are located within each of the project plans. I know you have copies of the draft project plan. I think for this purpose, what I wanted to do is provide a kind of a summary of why we're going through the proposed amendments and what they entail. So I'll walk through the PowerPoint that I have, which again ties back to many of the pages in the project plan, and then open it up for questions at that point. So the TID amendment process, just to kind of get everybody familiar with the process again, tonight is the initial JRB meeting. We're not asking the joint review board to take any real action on the two project plan amendments, but rather just informational this evening. After this meeting, there's a plan commission meeting. It's on the plan commission public agenda for a public hearing, and also they do have a resolution in their packet as well. If they're comfortable with the project plans as drafted, then it'll be forwarded to the village board for action on both amendments next week, a week from today. On 4/15 is when it would be in front of the village board. And then the final JRB would take place sometime, usually about 2 weeks after that. We'll establish that date as we go through this agenda. And then if everything is approved, it'll be submitted to the DORs in summer, fall of 2024, and they do their kind of technical review. Again, they're not analyzing the projects, they're within the project plan. They're really looking at, did you meet the requirements set forth in the statute as it pertains to notices and public hearing, those kind of things. So they do more of a technical review of the project plan. So let's start with TID number 7. This is the boundary, the existing boundaries, and just make sure everybody's clear, we are not changing the boundaries or proposing any boundary changes to 7 or 8. These are projects that will support both TID 7 and TID 8 and open up additional area for potential development. And those areas would stay outside of the tax increment district, enabling the village to be able to collect tax revenue from that immediately once those areas develop. But this is the existing boundary of TID 7, on the kind of southeast portion of this map. That's the original TID boundary, which was for JW Speaker for their expansion, and then to the north and west is the expansion that was done for Capstone Quadrangle for their industrial development. So those boundaries will remain intact with no change to them. TID number 7, this is a kind of a quick summary of TID 7. And again, a lot of this is within the project plan, but I wanted to pull out the key elements to this. So TID 7 is an industrial TID, meaning it has a maximum life of 20 years. It was created again in 17 to assist with the JW Speaker expansion and then expanded in March 2021 to assist with the proposed Capstone Quadrangle development, which some of which has taken place. South side of Holy Hill Road is where I would say their development primarily is. The original TID boundary included 160 acres, which was expanded through the amendment to 331 acres. Again, we're not changing the boundaries, but wanted to put that in context. This amendment would add $1,870,000 in new project costs, all of which are within a half mile of the TID boundary. So this amendment is really just to add additional project costs that would then be paid out of the TID fund as opposed to being paid for through the general levy and or through the water and sewer utility. And I'll go into those projects in a little more detail in a little bit. The result of this amendment is that it's projected to keep the TID open for 2 additional years. So we did an analysis of where the TID is currently versus where it would be once we add these project costs. It'll require the district to stay open an additional 2 years to be able to pay for the project costs that are being identified within TID number 7. So those are kind of the reasons why we are looking to amend the tax increment district. As I stated, I think I talked to Administrator Preklo earlier as well. You know, we did talk about amending TID 7 boundaries as part of this and said, what if we pick up additional areas within the tax increment district and resulting in potential new development, which probably would have resulted in the TIF district not being extended for those 2 additional years. I think the thought here was that we'd rather see the district actually, because they're both doing pretty well financially, absorb those costs and not have the new development that may occur as a result of these projects, not have those occur within the tax increment district so that the new taxes collected, again, fall right to the taxing authorities. Everybody gets the piece of that right away. So we're not trying to capture more increment as a result of this, but pay for some project costs to open up additional area. So these are the project costs that have been identified for just TID 7. Freistadt Road, High Point Pass to Interstate 41. Freistadt Road, High Point Pass to Interstate Sewer. So the first is road reconstruction, second is sewer, 600,000. Freistadt Road, High Point Pass to Interstate 41 water, and then some administrative costs that have been identified. So those are the project costs that have been identified. Again, about $1,860,000 in hard costs, $10,000 administrative professional service costs tied to this district. Again, those projects are located outside the boundaries, but within a half mile. And this is where we show that the location of the project costs within a half mile radius. So there was an adjustment that was made to these schedules kind of later last week as a result of a closer review of that half mile radius. Again, while the projects are located outside the boundaries of the district, they're within a half mile, allowing for these projects, if they're approved, to be included as part of the TID projects and funded out of the tax increment district, again, as opposed to being funded either through the general levy or the water and sewer utility. So those are the location of the projects. This is the development that has either occurred already in TID 7 or still projected to occur. And you can see that the vast majority of the development is in place, about 23, almost $24 million in development. We expect that to grow to about $63 million once Capstone developments are fully built out. Building 2 is pretty much done, which leaves building number 3, which they're proposing for 2024. Once they come online, again, we expect to see about $63 to $64 million in development that will result in a pretty significant cash flow in tax increment district number 7. So these assumptions do not change as a result of these TID amendments. This is already in place or already proposed for tax increment district number 7. And here's the cash flow. Again, a lot of small numbers on this sheet, but I'm going to highlight a couple. So the brown shaded area, that's the new projects that are being proposed as a part of this amendment, the 1,870,000. Directly left of that, you'll see where it says water revenue bonds. There is a component of you'll see both TID 7 and 8 that there'll be a future borrowing for water related projects that were previously approved in these tax increment districts. They're not add-ons to this, but they were previously approved. And so you can see that we've factored that into this overall cash flow as well. What we're really focused on here is the second column from the right, which is the cumulative balance. And our goal here is to make sure that we structure any future obligations to meet the revenues of the system, not the system, of the tax increment district, to make sure that the fund remains in a positive cash flow through the life of the district. And so while we have, some pretty good guidance at this point of how to structure the debt, we're not looking to go to a market for any TID related projects until later this year or even next year. By then we'll have another evaluation from the Department of Revenue out that'll come out in August, which will give us a little bit better view of where the actual incremental value is for TID 7, and then we'll structure accordingly based upon the best information we would have available from the DOR in August of this year. So nothing planned from a capital borrowing for TIDs until later this year or even into early 2025. So that is TID number 7. Yes,
Quick question,
of course.
just for point of emphasis, what was the original, and I don't know exactly which one to look at on the, I want to make sure I'm looking at the right number. What was the original baseline value at the beginning of the TID before any of the improvements? Number that we're comparing all these numbers to.
Yeah, I have to go back. I don't have that in my possession. I had to go back to the original project plan and determine that. I think the original project plan was done for JW Speaker, and they did their first expansion. They didn't do a subsequent expansion. So I don't know what the combination of those two were. I think they were under 40 million total, my recollection. And we're going to be at about 63 million, really as a result of the capstone coming online and really generating a lot of increment in this area. And when we did that amendment back in 21, that was part of the message, is that was going to enable this TIF district to be healthy going forward. And we certainly have structured it that way, and it will be healthy. So we think TID 7 will end up paying off early in the black, and even with taking on these new projects. Yes?
Slide that you had in the orangish color, did you say it was 1.87 million, or is it then 1.920 with the interest of 750?
Yeah,
That's total is 2.7 million.
yeah, it's the principal amount includes any borrowing costs as well, but it pays for the 1,870,000 plus issuance expense to get to that principal number.
Total of
Yeah.
those two is what you're going to
Yeah.
use out of the TID, correct? The
correct.
2.7, okay. And then I just have another quick question on your original, you had a map, a black and white map. I think it was your second slide, maybe third slide. There was the road, and then there's like the what are you doing in the numbers 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, like the.
Those are tied back to the parcel numbers when we did the amendment. So we're just showing on that. That's not the project locations. That's really just showing the parcels that were being added.
Okay, because
At that time.
we,
Yep.
at the last meeting, it assumed to just be roads. Or
Correct.
not roads, but,
Yep.
okay, thank you.
Other questions of the joint review board? Hearing nothing on TID number 7, I'll go into tax increment district number 8. We are looking to amend TID number 8 as well at the same time. I'm going to go through kind of the same process as far as structure of how I put this together. TID 8 boundaries have not changed. They have really remained the same when they were created and will remain the same. We're not looking to change the boundaries again of tax increment district number 8. Here's a quick overview of TID number 8. Industrial district created in 2018. Total acres, 225 acres. Because it's industrial, at least 50% of the area has to be for industrial purpose and keep that zoning through the life of the district. Maximum, again, 20 years for this district. And this district would absorb around a little under $5 million in new project costs. And again, all within that half-mile boundary that I had talked about also with TID number 7. Here too, this would require TID number 8 to stay open for likely 2 additional years. It's kind of hard to totally judge that, but around 2 additional years that this would require that district to stay open. The financial analysis, and you'll see shortly, is the cash flow is very strong, and this district will close out early, much earlier than the allowed life. So very strong district at this point. Here are the projects that have been identified to be included in tax increment district 8. I'm not going to necessarily read them all to you, but Rockfield Road is the primary emphasis here from Goldendale to Gateway. And you can see there's the 1,380,000 for roads. We have sewer, water costs. We have Rockfield Road Gateway crossing to I-41, sewer costs, some High Point construction costs for road, and then again, some small amount of professional service fees to get to the $4,945,000 in new project costs that would be added to this district. Again, a location of these is shown on this map, and you can see on the northern portion of the map, the primary area that would be added to tax increment district number 8. Again, we're not amending the boundaries. We're just looking to add these project costs as part of this tax increment district. Development assumptions. I just want to kind of highlight what's happened here. Again, this has been a pretty phenomenal in the way of growth, about 180+ million in value already in this tax increment district, with Zilber building number 6 coming online in 23 and the Dickman Golden Pet project coming online in 24. We expect the incremental value to be 208 million. To answer your question, Jim, on the earlier about where we thought this district was going to come in, at that point, we were looking at a little over $100 million. So more than doubled as far as valuation in this district without amending the boundaries in this area at all. So very successful district from a cash flow perspective. And here is that cash flow again highlighted in the tan area is the potential new debt that would be taken out for these projects. You can see it's relatively short that we've identified. We could pay this off very quickly. This district could close out like 12 years early, even by adding these projects due to the significant valuation that's been achieved out in tax increment district number 8. So again, a very strong cash position in TID 8, even when we absorb this potential new almost $5 million in project costs. So with that, happy to answer any questions the JRB may have on either TID 7 or 8. We do have in your packet, the full project plans are in there. I thought this was easier to just kind of walk through some of the key sheets, but I'll say there's not as much changes when you're not doing a boundary amendment. So it's a lot of project costs, which I've gone through with you. We still have to go through and talk about a lot of the same issues that we do when we create a district, because the statute requires we address a lot of these issues throughout the life or throughout this project plan. So we've done that, but again, wanted to highlight the key areas in the project plan in the PowerPoint that I put together. Yes.
On the write-up, there's a write-up that we received regarding TID 8 that says that the purpose of it is to promote industrial development. Mr. Cricklow presented at my committee previous, and then my board will then discuss it again at the end of this month. And they were asking if you knew what type of development would be. I understand it says industrial development. I mean, we're more concerned, not concerned, but if it's going to affect our school, which is right across the street. So before they make their recommendation at the end of this month, if you knew any type of direction that the village might be considering when developing that area, if it was going to be more industrial or more residential.
I'm going to turn it over to Administrator Cricklow.
I think there's a couple of different areas that could see additional development when this infrastructure is in place. One is the Freistadt district. And there have not been any determinations on what type of development would take place there yet. There are some plans. The Plan Commission has been looking at bringing in some firms to do some more detailed planning for that area. And then the other area is north of Rockfield Road, where there'll be a new road and sewer and water connections. And the same thing is true there, that there are some plans in place for the Plan Commission to bring in an outside planning firm to help develop some more specific plans about what type of development, but there have not been decisions made at this point. And I'm going to look at our planning director to make sure I got that all correct, and he's nodding, and so that I stated that accurately. So no decisions have been made at this point.
Do you know when that process is occurring?
That is a Plan Commission decision. There have been discussions and presentations on this with the Plan Commission. One of the difficulties is the village has a request that's in process before the Office of the Commissioner of Railroads for a railroad crossing in the Freistadt district. In a perfect world, we'd like to wait until we have a response to that because that would really impact or could potentially impact the type of development that would be suitable in those places. But that is becoming a long process, and I don't know if it's going to be possible for us to wait that long. So that's a longer explanation, but the short answer to your question is that, no, I don't have a specific date or timeline that I can give you when that'll be complete.
No other questions? Then I think it's a next agenda item.
I might just real quickly ask if any of the participants online had a question, the Joint Review Board members online had questions.
I have no additional questions.
Yeah, this is Aaron Dahl. I've got no questions. I appreciate your perspective on TIF, and certainly understand the reasons for adding project costs and things like that, but appreciate the transparency and the overview here today.
The next agenda item is to set the next meeting date and time, which I believe is in May.
It would likely, the earliest you could probably hold it would be that last week of April, first week of May. We have to have a notice that goes out after the village board meeting, and so that would be the first you could do it that week.
One suggestion to the board, if this works for everyone, we could hold it on the afternoon of the first Monday in May, before the Public Safety Committee meeting at 6 o'clock. And then we have the room set up, the WebEx, the Channel 25, some of the residents like to watch. If that works for people, that would be work well for staff and for facilities.
On May 6th,
May 6th, yeah.
at what time?
If it works for folks, having it at 5 o'clock would be ideal. I don't know. I know the school board has meetings. I'm not sure if that conflicts with school board meetings.
It does. So we have our committee meetings, similar to today. We have our committee meetings and I can adjust mine, but our earliest one would start at 4:30. That's why I started at 4:30, so I could be here at 6. If there is one earlier, but I'd have to be done and back by 6. So either we could start earlier here, but I'd have to make sure that I was.
And actually, we do have public safety scheduled at 6, so the goal would be to be done by 6 here, so that then we could get public safety started on time.
Then 5 would work.
And I'm seeing nods around the table, just Aaron and Dr. Najati, does 5 o'clock on May 6th work for you?
That would work for me, yes.
Hi, can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes. Would this be in person or virtual, or do I have the option?
We could set it up the same way, so you would have the option like you did this evening.
Okay, I mean, I'll definitely try to be there in person, but I just have other meetings that are already booked, so my travel time might be limited.
We can set it up so you can participate remotely like you are this evening.
Okay, great.
So then I think the chair would probably be looking for a motion.
Motion to adjourn?
Well, a motion to set the meeting.
Oh, I'm sorry. You
Yeah,
need a motion to set the
yeah.
meeting. I apologize.
Okay.
A second.
Second.
All right, we have a motion and a second. So would you want to ask any objections or?
Are there any objections for the May 6th,
Sorry.
5 p.m. meeting?
For discussion.
Or discussion?
Think we have any objections or discussion?
Then it's May 6th, 5 o'clock.
May 6th at 5 p.m. And then the next agenda item, if I'm correct, would be to adjourn this meeting, correct?
Correct.
And
Motion to adjourn.
All right.
we need a second.
Is there a second to the motion to adjourn?
A second.
Second.
Okay, we got
Okay.
a second.
I believe we have a motion and a second. So the meeting is adjourned at 6:39 p.m.
Thank you, everyone. And for those of you
Thank you.
who may be online or on Channel 25, as soon as we get the room changed over, we'll start the Plan Commission meeting.
Thank you.
Thanks, Dean.
Okay, thank you.